The first sound is not the wind. It is a hollow splash, heavy, deliberate, followed by a rolling surge that presses against the mud bank. Something vast moves beneath the surface, bending the water without breaking it. The air carries the thick metallic scent of blood and the sharper edge of rotting fish. The reeds ahead shiver although the air is still, their shadows weaving together like the bars of a closing gate. The lake lies black under a sky the color of cooling ash. In moments, the sun will climb, and the heat will rise from the ground in shimmering veils. But now, in this brief calm before the light, danger moves freely, unseen except for the signs it leaves in water and air. They stand just beyond the reach of the shore, tall, lean figures shaped by the demands of distance and heat. Their skin is dark, polished with sweat and the oils of life under an unbroken sun. Broad brows shade deep-set eyes that scan both water and grass. The long bones of their arms and legs speak of endless walking, of survival earned by moving farther and faster than any predator built only for speed. These are early humans, Homo erectus, the long-distance travelers of the Pleistocene. Behind them lies the faint trace of a night camp. Flattened grass, a half-circle of thorn dragged into place to break the wind, and the remains of a fireless meal. Ahead, the reed beds tremble with life. Fish slipping between stalks, frogs pressing low in the shallows, birds lifting in startled bursts. But among these small movements, there is another, slower pattern. The water bulges in a line, then smooths again. A triangle of ripples drifts toward the bank, so slight it might be dismissed if the watchers were not people whose lives depend on such details. One man edges forward, pressing his toes into the cool mud. He tests the slope of the bank, judging the safety of the approach. In his right hand, a river cobble rests with the balance of a weapon, chosen long before it is thrown. Just behind him, another crouches low, a fresh flake of volcanic glass glinting in his fingers. Moments ago, he struck it from a core with a hammerstone, each blow chosen with precision to free a cutting edge as sharp as ice. The flake's edge can open hide and muscle with the ease of a claw. From the water comes a sound like a slow breath. The bulge swells and then splits as the surface explodes. A crocodile surges upward, jaws yawning open, teeth long and conical, flashing pale in the dim light. The strike is faster than thought. One moment the man's foot is on mud, the next it is trapped in a living vice. Mud erupts as the predator twists, dragging him toward the undercut bank where the water hides its depth. The world contracts into motion and impact. Stones arc through the air, splashing hard against scaled hide. A flake edge slashes at water-darkened flesh, aiming not to wound fatally, but to loosen the grip. Two pairs of hands seize the man's shoulders, heaving backward as his body jerks under the pull. For a moment, it is a contest of raw force, human muscle straining against the ancient strength of an animal that has ruled these waters for millions of years. Then, with a sudden wrench, the crocodile releases. The man collapses on the bank, his leg torn open to the bone, blood running into the churned mud. Flies arrive in seconds, their wings catching the first rays of the rising sun. The others form a wall around him, scanning the water for the shadow's return. Across the lake, the surface is calm once more, as if nothing had happened. But the reeds whisper with the movement of something large, sliding back into its hidden channel. Here, nothing is ever truly still. Every shoreline is contested ground, between those who come to drink or feed and those who wait to kill. In this place, survival is not a story told afterward. It is a choice made in the space between two breaths. It is the weight of a stone in the hand, the precision of a flake's edge, the memory of where danger lives. The day has barely begun, and already blood has been spilled. For those who walk these shores, this is not an exception. This is the shape of every morning,
The basin that surrounds this lake is a map written in stone, water, and dust. From the high ridges, the land folds down toward the shoreline in slopes of ochre and gray, broken by volcanic outcrops that glint in the sun. The Rift Valley here is not a quiet scar, it is alive, its floor shifting under the slow forces of the Earth's crust. Over millions of years, tectonic plates have pulled apart, creating deep basins that trap rivers and hold them long enough to become lakes. Lake Turkana is one such place, but it is never permanent. It grows and shrinks with the climate's moods, swelling until its waters lap against new shores, then retreating to leave behind salt flats and cracked mud where fish once swam. The climate is a restless force. Periods of heavy rainfall feed rivers from the Ethiopian highlands, swelling the lake until it becomes an inland sea. These wet pulses green the grasslands, scatter antelope herds across open plains, and flood the reed beds with fish. But in dry cycles, the lake withdraws. Its edges shrink to a hard, glittering band of salt. Herds concentrate at the few remaining water points, drawing every predator and scavenger into the same crowded margins. For Homo erectus, this instability is both gift and danger. A high lake brings reeds heavy with birds' nests, inlets thick with fish, and fresh grazing for antelope. A low lake concentrates life into a narrower band, making food easier to find, but also making predators easier to meet. This shifting environment is thought to have shaped the bodies and minds of those who lived here. The people must be able to adapt in days to what the land might change in weeks. If a channel dries, they must know where to find another. If the reed beds are stripped of fish, they must range farther inland in search of game. Flexibility is not an advantage here, it is the only way to survive. Their bodies are built for movement across this ever-changing stage. They are taller than earlier hominins, their long legs carrying them swiftly over open ground. Narrow hips and strong gluteal muscles give them stability and speed, while sweat glands across their skin allow them to travel in heat that would exhaust furred predators. They are not the fastest sprinters in the animal kingdom, but few can match their endurance. Over the course of hours, in the glare of midday, they can run prey to collapse. This endurance gives them a unique advantage in a land of short-burst hunters. Lions, saber-toothed cats, and leopards can kill in seconds, but if their ambush fails, they give up. Homo erectus can keep going until the fleeing animal falters from heat and exhaustion. They live without clothing. There is no evidence of garments in this age, their protection from sun and wind comes from the melanin in their skin and from choosing their ground wisely. At night, they huddle together in shallow hollows or behind windbreaks of thorn dragged into place. These camps are chosen for their sightlines and their wind, a cross breeze that confuses the scent of sleeping bodies. In the morning, they leave little behind that the earth will keep, only the flattened grass where they lay, and the stone they shaped for their needs. Their technology is simple in appearance but deadly in use. They make tools by striking flakes from volcanic nodules with hammerstones. These flakes can open a carcass, cut through tendon, or scrape plant fibers for cordage. Along these same shores, some of the first hand axes have been found, teardrop-shaped tools with edges on both sides, a design that would spread across Africa and beyond. Whether this group uses such tools yet is uncertain, but the skill is present in the wider population. To make a tool, the napper selects a core, often a piece of fine-grained basalt or a dark, glassy obsidian nodule from the surrounding volcanic fields. Holding it steady on one hand, they strike it with a rounded hammerstone, choosing the angle so that the force runs just under the surface. The flake breaks free with a sharp ring, its edge thin enough to glide through hide. Each tool begins as a series of choices: where to strike, how hard, at what angle. A skilled napper can work a nodule down to a shape that serves for cutting, chopping, scraping, and pounding, carrying it for days until the edge dulls and the core is discarded. These discarded pieces litter the ground near ancient camps, still sharp after nearly 2 million years. Their diet is as varied as the land allows. They gather fruits when they are in season, dig for edible roots and tubers near damp soils, and take what protein they can find. Fish are caught in reed traps or stunned with clubs in shallow pools. Small antelope can be hunted with persistence, driven until they overheat. Larger animals are often scavenged, taken from predators if the humans arrive early enough or in sufficient numbers to drive the killers away. Bones split open for marrow are a common prize. The rich fat within is a rare and valuable resource. In wetter months, they may follow herds along the lakeshore, moving camp to stay near reliable food and water. In dry months, they range farther, sometimes traveling for days to reach tributary streams or seasonal pools. Movement is constant. They have no fixed home, only a network of places known for their resources or safety. This is a land where humans are not the only hunters. The grasslands and thickets hide saber-toothed cats, massive shouldered predators built for ambush, capable of killing with a single, crushing bite. Their long canines are built not for chewing but for precision, a single strike to the throat, followed by a retreat until the prey collapses. Hyenas, both the spotted kind familiar today and their larger, now extinct relatives, roam in packs that can strip a carcass in minutes. And the water belongs to the crocodiles. Some grow longer than two men laid end to end, their jaws strong enough to break bone, their patience endless. Fossil evidence shows that these reptiles sometimes took humans from the shore, their tooth marks pressed into ancient bone. Each predator has its own hunting style, and the people learn them all. A ripple in the reeds may mean a crocodile easing closer. The sudden silence of guinea fowl can signal a cat nearby. The distant whoop of a hyena is more than noise, it is information about direction, distance, and numbers. To live here is to read the land constantly. The shape of a ripple, the sound of a bird, the smell on the wind, all can signal opportunity or death. A misread sign can mean a sprint for safety, or no sprint at all. Memory is carried not in words, but in movement. The young learn by watching, where to walk, when to pause, how to stand at the water's edge without becoming part of it. The stakes are simple and unforgiving. Food is needed every day. Injury can mean death. Predators are never far. And yet, in this shifting, dangerous place, these people endure. They know its rhythms, its signals, its unwritten laws. Every step they take is a negotiation with the land, a calculation between hunger and hazard. The lake has moods, and those who live beside it have learned to read them. Some mornings the surface lies flat, as if the water is asleep. Other days the wind sends chop against the reeds, carrying the scent of mud and plants. Today the air feels heavier. The surface moves in irregular pulses, not from wind but from something below, something large enough to shift the water around it without showing more than a shadow. The group moves along the margin, scanning for signs. The mud tells its own story. Deep, heart-shaped impressions mark where antelope came to drink in the night. Smaller, rounded tracks show where guinea fowl picked through the shallows for insects. Over these, a wider track crosses at an angle, pads with claws extended, the prints deeper at the front. A cat passed here, heavy enough to sink the toes but light enough to keep the heel shallow. The spacing says it was walking, not stalking, but its presence so close to the shore is a warning. They are not here by accident. A smell carried on the morning air, sweet, metallic, unmistakable, drew them down from the ridge. Somewhere close, an animal has died. If it is fresh, the meat could feed the group for days. Organ flesh, blood, and marrow could sustain them through a lean period. But they are not the only ones to smell it. The scent strengthens near a narrow spit where the reeds open into a muddy flat. Flies rise in a dark, buzzing cloud at their approach, revealing the source. The hindquarters of a young antelope lying partly in the shallows. The head and front legs are gone, taken either by a predator or by the water itself. The exposed flesh glistens wet in the dim light, the blood still bright in places. It has not been here long. The mud around the carcass is disturbed. A scatter of claw marks radiates outward from the water's edge. Hyena prints overlap each other in restless loops. Between them, a single, unmistakable trace, the drag line of a heavy tail. Where it crosses the mud, the surface is pressed smooth, as if polished by weight. The trail ends at the water, vanishing into a sudden drop-off under the bank. The group holds back, scanning the surface. The lake answers with a small, deceptive movement, a ripple that forms and dissolves too quickly. In the stillness that follows, the silence of the reed bed feels heavier. Then comes a slow, rolling swell, as if the lake has taken a deep breath. Predators here are not random. They have patterns, territories, and times of day when they move. Crocodiles often hunt in the cool hours, striking at dawn when the water is still and prey comes to drink. But they will not pass up an opportunity like this. The carcass is a lure for every hunter within scent range. Beyond the reeds, another danger watches. In the shadow of a low acacia, a saber-toothed cat crouches, its massive forelimbs folded under its chest. Its head is low, eyes fixed on the humans. The cat's body is made for bursts, not chases, a short sprint ending in a grapple and a killing bite. It does not like to approach openly, but the humans at the water's edge are close enough to tempt a rush if the moment is right. From the south, the hyenas arrive. 6 of them, moving in that rolling trot that eats ground without effort. They spread as they approach, testing the line the humans have formed. Their eyes shift constantly, weighing the odds. Hyenas will fight for a carcass, but they prefer to break a group's formation first. They look for a gap, a juvenile left slightly apart, or a carrier encumbered by weight. Today, the human stance offers no such weakness. The tension tightens, invisible but palpable. The humans stand in a shallow crescent, anchored at both ends on firmer ground. Those at the flanks hold stones ready to throw, those at the center have their cutting tools poised. It is a formation born from long memory, one that allows them to face threats from land and water at the same time. The hyenas hover just out of range, pacing. The cat waits in the shadows, judging. And beneath it all, the lake keeps its own counsel. The water around the carcass darkens briefly as something shifts beneath it, stirring the mud from below. The humans know they cannot stay long. The longer they linger, the more predators will gather. But meat like this is not left behind without a fight. They edge closer, one step at a time, keeping the crescent unbroken. The cutters kneel at the margin, working quickly to free the hindquarters from the carcass. Flies swarm their hands and faces, but the work continues. Stone edges flash in the morning light, slicing through tendon and hide. Every sound seems sharper now, the rustle of reeds, the snap of a twig from the cat's position, the soft slap of water against the bank. Even the flies' droning changes pitch, rising and falling as they shift between the humans and the carcass. Then, from the lake, the signal comes, a widening V on the surface, gliding toward the bank. It is subtle, easy to miss, but those who live here never miss it. The cutters glance up. The throwers tighten their grip on the stones. The formation draws inward, bracing for what they know is coming. The predator is close now, its presence betrayed only by that faint trail on the water. But there is another ripple forming farther out, moving in a line toward the same point. 2 shapes, not one, advance unseen beneath the surface. They have been here before, not this exact spit of mud, not this precise carcass, but this situation. The land repeats itself in patterns, and those who survive learn to recognize them. The moment is familiar, a kill in the open, predators converging from different angles, water hiding what it holds. The outcome will depend on the choices made in the next few breaths. The formation they hold is no accident. The shallow crescent is a shape that works, wide enough to keep sight of the water and the grass, tight enough to close quickly if something charges. At each end stand the throwers, their hands already wrapped around smooth river stones. These are not random rocks picked from the ground, they were chosen on the walk down from the ridge, weighed in the palm for balance, tested for edges that won't cut the thrower's hand. A stone thrown hard enough, with the right spin, can daze a hyena or make a crocodile turn aside for an instant, sometimes all the time that's needed. Closer to the carcass, the cutters kneel low, their knees pressed into the mud. They work with stone flakes that are still fresh from the core, edges sharp enough to glide through hide with minimal force. The first task is to free the richest meat, the hindquarters and the organs. They slice along muscle lines they know by memory, cutting deep, then peeling away to expose tendons that can be severed in a single stroke. The longer bones, the femur, the tibia, will be carried away whole and cracked later for marrow. Behind them, a pair of carriers stand ready. Their job is not to fight but to move the food out of danger as quickly as it's freed. When the cutters lift a section clear, the carriers take it without hesitation, turning to climb the slight rise behind the group. This creates a chain. From carcass to cutter, cutter to carrier, carrier to safety. This chain is supported by eyes that never rest. Every person in the group is watching something different. One keeps track of the hyenas, counting the beats of their pacing. Another watches the cat in the shade, looking for the moment when its hindquarters bunch before a sprint. Two others never take their eyes from the water, reading its surface for the signs they've learned to trust, the silent approach of a predator beneath. The lake's predators have rules of their own. Crocodiles prefer to attack from an angle, coming in along the bank rather than head-on. They often use cover, a clump of reeds, a fallen branch, to hide their approach until the last moment. The humans use this knowledge in reverse, positioning themselves where the bank is open and the mud shelf is short, giving the predator less room to accelerate. The hyena's rules are different. They will test a line over and over, feinting and retreating, until they find a weakness. If one person steps too far from the others, or turns to carry a load without watching their flank, the hyenas will surge in. The humans counter this by holding their shape even when moving, the crescent bending but never breaking. Another principle guides them: speed without panic. They cannot rush the butchery so much that they waste meat, but they cannot linger either. Every cut is decisive. The carriers move as soon as their hands are full, not waiting to see if more will be freed. The throwers shift their stance constantly, keeping weight on the balls of their feet, ready to pivot toward whichever threat commits first. There are tools here that never touch the carcass. One man holds a hammerstone, a rounded, heavy piece of basalt. Its primary purpose is to break bone, but in a confrontation it becomes a weapon that can be brought down with crushing force on a predator's skull or limb. The hammerstone's weight is a promise: if something comes too close, it will feel that promise kept. Every tactic they use is drawn from memory. Some of it is their own, what they've learned in hunts and fights they've survived. Some of it comes from watching others. Parents, siblings, older members of the group who are gone now, but whose movements and choices remain. In a world without words, memory is carried in repetition. You survive by doing what worked the last time. The cutters work faster now. The scent of blood is thick, riding the air like heat, and it will travel far. Above the lake, vultures have begun to gather, circling in tightening spirals. Their presence is a message to every scavenger in the area: food is here, and it will not last long. The hyenas seem more agitated, their pacing quicker, their heads swinging side to side. The cat in the shade shifts its weight, lifting its head slightly. The water offers its own warning. The first ripple is joined by a second, wider one, and then by a faint bulge that moves parallel to the shore. The predators below are drawing closer, their approach is timed not to collide with each other but to close the distance together. The humans cannot know for certain if the two shapes belong to rivals or to a mated pair, but they understand the danger doubles when more than one is in the water. The cutters make a final deep slice, freeing the last section they can safely take. A carrier steps in, lifting the slab of meat and turning quickly toward the rise. The group shifts with them, tightening the crescent so the opening points uphill rather than toward the water. This movement is smooth, practiced, a living wall that changes shape without losing its strength. From the side, the hyenas drift closer, sensing the moment when attention is split. A stone arcs out from the flank and lands close enough to puff dust at their feet. They stop, one tilting its head, then they back away a few steps, not yet ready to commit. The humans are almost clear of the bank when the water erupts. The water breaks with a force that sends ripples in every direction, washing away the carefully maintained silence. The first crocodile surfaces, its wide jaws snapping shut around empty air, only to submerge again. It is quick, but not yet committed. The hyenas shift position, moving in tight, synchronized patterns that speak of years of practice in reading danger and opportunity. The scent of blood grows stronger, mixing with the sharp, mineral tang of the lake. The humans do not flinch. They are anchored by the years of learning that come with survival. Each one knows exactly what to do, where to move, when to stay still. The formation holds, a crescent that never breaks. In the shadows of the acacia, the saber-toothed cat is now fully awake, its eyes glowing faintly as it surveys the scene. It has seen the humans before. It has watched their movements. But today, the distance is too close, and the temptation of an easy kill is too strong. A stone flies from the human line, its trajectory perfect. The impact rings like a bell, striking the cat's shoulder with enough force to send it recoiling backward. The cat hisses, its body tense with surprise, but it does not retreat. Instead, it shifts its weight and looks for a new angle, a new way to close the distance. It is not used to being threatened by prey, and this only sharpens its focus. The crocodiles rise again, this time in unison, their massive bodies breaking the surface like submerged boulders. The humans know they have little time. One of the throwers shifts his weight, drawing a stone from the pouch at his side, his eyes never leaving the water. He watches the ripples spread outward, timing the next strike. The stone leaves his hand, an arc of motion so fluid it could have been born from the earth itself. The stone finds its mark, a sharp crack against the eye ridge of one of the crocodiles. The beast thrashes, its body twisting violently in the water. The air is thick with tension as the humans rush to pull the meat away from the bank, every movement synchronized, but never rushed. They know that an overzealous attempt to escape could mean a broken formation. The last thing they need is for the hyenas to pounce when their backs are turned. A second crocodile lunges toward the group, its tail cutting through the water with a sharp, whipping motion. The human on the edge of the formation reacts instantly. His club rises, a swift, heavy arc that connects with the crocodile's skull just behind its jaw. The blow is hard enough to knock the creature off its course, but not enough to deter it entirely. It thrashes, the water churning around its head, its eyes blinking rapidly in confusion. The hyenas take their chance. With a sudden burst of energy, they surge forward, attempting to flank the group. But the humans are ready. The throwers hurl their stones in quick succession, their aim true. A hyena shrieks as a stone hits its flank, knocking it off balance. The others hesitate, their indecision hanging in the air like a cloud. The human line tightens again, ready for the next move. The saber-toothed cat makes its decision. It bounds forward with the speed of a strike, its body twisting like a coiled spring. The humans have prepared for this moment, however. As the cat launches itself toward the nearest thrower, a stone arcs toward its face, striking it squarely in the jaw. The cat pauses, its attack faltering as pain and confusion ripple through its muscles. In that instant, the humans close ranks, pushing backward, retreating up the ridge toward the higher ground where the hyenas will have less advantage. But the crocodiles are relentless. They have not forgotten the feast below the surface, and now they advance toward the shallows once more. The humans, seeing the danger mounting, turn their focus back to the water. The throwers keep their eyes on the surface, their hands steady, their aim true. The stones fly, each one an extension of their will, keeping the predators at bay. The hyenas regroup, sensing the shift in the confrontation. They circle, hesitant but hungry, looking for another opening, another chance to strike. The cat retreats, but its eyes remain fixed on the humans, watching for any sign of weakness. The humans do not show weakness. They move as one, a singular unit, each person anticipating the next move, each body flowing in rhythm with the group. The carrier with the wounded leg struggles to keep up, but the others adjust their pace to accommodate him. The weight of the meat in their hands is light compared to the weight of the situation, but it is all they can carry for now. A final, decisive moment arrives. The crocodile, now enraged and desperate, lurches forward, its jaws wide open. The humans, seeing the threat in its full form, brace themselves. One of the throwers hurls a stone with a force that would have broken bone, striking the crocodile square in the snout. The beast halts, its momentum faltering, its body twisting in the water in confusion. The humans do not hesitate. They lift the wounded, they carry the meat, and they retreat with a purpose, up the slope, away from the water, away from the crocodiles, the hyenas, and the cat. Their formation shifts, but it holds. The predators, frustrated and wounded, pull back. The hyenas circle one more time, then disappear into the long grass. The crocodiles submerge, vanishing into the depths from which they came. The cat stays in the shadows, watching from a distance, unwilling to take another risk. The group moves quickly now, their pace swift and deliberate. They will not stop until they have reached higher ground, where the scent of blood will not linger, where the shadows will not hide the next danger. The slope rises gently at first, then more sharply, carrying them away from the shoreline and the dangers that live there. Each step puts more distance between the group and the churned water where teeth flashed minutes ago. The air is different here, drier, thinner, scented with grass and dust instead of mud and rot. The sound of the lake fades behind them, replaced by the whisper of wind over the ridge. They stop only when the water's edge is far below and hidden from view. The ground here is harder, covered in short, wiry grass. A cluster of thorn trees offers shade, their branches twisted into shapes shaped by years of wind. This will be a place to rest, if only for a short while. The predators from below are less likely to follow them here. The slope itself is a barrier, hyenas are agile, but they prefer level ground, crocodiles cannot follow at all. The wounded man is lowered gently to the ground beneath the largest tree. His leg is a torn, swollen mass, the puncture wounds deep and raw. Blood still seeps slowly from the gashes, but the worst of the bleeding has been stopped. The bindings, strips of plant fiber and reeds twisted together, are tightened and checked. The band works in silence, each movement efficient. There is no panic. They have all seen wounds before. Some heal. Some do not. Nearby, the meat is laid out on a flat patch of ground in the shade. It will not keep for long in the heat, but here it is safe from scavengers for the moment. The carriers begin to divide it, not in equal portions, but in a way that makes sense for the group's needs. The strongest will eat enough to carry more later. The wounded will be given the richest parts, liver, marrow, to help the body recover if it can. The older ones eat sparingly, letting the younger and the injured take more. This is not kindness for its own sake, it is strategy. The survival of the group depends on those who can still move at full strength. The smell of fresh blood draws flies even here, but the shade and the breeze keep them from swarming too thickly. Vultures will high above, their spirals wide and slow now. The hyenas have not followed, but their calls still carry faintly on the wind, far below. The saber-toothed cat does not show itself again. It will hunt elsewhere today. The sun climbs higher, and with it comes the weight of the day's heat. Shadows shorten. The air thickens, and even the breeze feels warm. This is the time when the basin goes quiet. Predators seek shade. Prey stands still, conserving energy. The humans rest, some lying flat on their backs in the grass, others sitting with their legs pulled up, heads resting on their knees. The wounded man drifts in and out of shallow sleep, his breathing uneven but steady enough. When the heat is at its peak, no one moves. This is not laziness. It is wisdom born from thousands of days lived in this place. To travel under the midday sun wastes strength and water. They will wait until the air cools, until the shadows stretch again, before they decide on their next move. That move will not be to stay. This ridge offers temporary safety, but it is not a home. There is no stream nearby, no shelter from storms. The carcass they took from the lake will not last more than a day or two in this heat, even with the meat eaten quickly. And there is another reason: predators remember. The crocodiles in the shallows will hold the shape of this morning in their memory. The hyenas will test this ground again if the group lingers. The best chance for survival is to keep moving. By late afternoon, the decision is made. They will carry what they can and travel toward the hills to the north, where a seasonal stream still holds water in deep pools. It will be a longer journey for the wounded man, but the group will adjust. 2 of the strongest will take turns supporting him, 1 on each side. Others will carry the meat, bundled in woven reed slings and strips of hide. The tools, hammerstones, cores, and remaining flakes, are kept close, tucked into slings against their bodies. No one leaves a good edge behind. In this land, stone can mean life. Before they leave, the meat is shared again, this time as fuel for the journey. Strips of muscle are eaten raw, washed down with gulps of water from cupped hands. The marrow is cracked from the bones and shared in turns, each person scooping the soft fat with their fingers. There is no waste. Even the tendons are stripped for later, dried and used for tying or repairing slings. When they move, it is with the same awareness they showed at the shore. The group's shape shifts to fit the land, wide in open grass, narrow in thorn thickets, always keeping the wounded and the food at the center. Eyes scan constantly. The ground for fresh tracks, the grass for movement, the sky for signs of scavengers. Every step away from the lake is a step into another predator's range. Safety here is never absolute, it is only relative. By the time the sun begins to sink, the ridge is far behind them. The lake is a thin line of dull silver in the distance. The sounds of water and wind and reeds are replaced by the dry whisper of grass and the distant calls of birds settling into roosts. The group will find a place to rest before full dark, perhaps a hollow in the slope sheltered by rock, perhaps a cluster of thorn trees where they can drag branches into a barrier. Tonight, they will sleep light, waking at the sound of anything larger than a hair moving nearby. The memory of the morning will not fade quickly. It will live in the minds of those who were there, shaping their choices in the days ahead. They will approach the water with more caution, read the ripples with sharper eyes, and teach the young. Without words, the lesson learned in blood: the shoreline is never safe. The predators will remember too. The crocodiles will wait in the same swale for the next unwary visitor. The hyenas will trace the group's path by scent, testing again when hunger pushes them close. The cat will watch from cover, perhaps recognizing the shapes of the ones who drove it off today. Here, nothing is forgotten quickly. Survival is written not just in the body but in the patterns of movement, the places avoided, the habits kept. The events of this day will become part of the group's unspoken map of the land, a map carried in every step, guiding them as they move through a world where danger is always one shadow away. The ridge falls behind them, and with it, the morning's violence becomes another thread in the long weave of their survival. The air cools as the sun drops toward the horizon, washing the land in gold and shadow. Their bodies move steadily, carrying the weight of meat, tools, and the wounded, but also carrying something that cannot be seen, a memory, sharpened by fear, sealed by blood. This memory is their true inheritance. It is not kept in stories told by firelight. Fire is still far in the future, nor in marks scratched on stone. It is held in patterns of behavior, passed from one set of eyes to another, from one set of hands to the next. A child who saw the ripple on the lake this morning will one day recognize it again and step back from the bank. An adolescent who carried stones to the throwers will remember their weight and shape when the moment comes to select one alone. The instinct to form a crescent, to protect the center, to move as one, these are the living archives of this species. The predators are part of this archive too. The lake's crocodiles, the hyenas on the flats, the cat in the thorn shade, they are not simply enemies, but shapers of skill. Without them, there would be no need to stand together in danger, no reason to keep tools ready even when the hands are tired. In forcing these humans to become more aware, more coordinated, more persistent, the predators are, in a way, unwitting teachers. These people, Homo erectus, stand at a pivotal place in the human journey. They are not the first to shape stone, but they refine its use. They are not the first to walk upright, but they take that stride farther than any before them. Their bodies are tuned for heat and distance, their minds for pattern and memory. They do not yet weave cloth, build shelters of wood, or light the night with flame, but the seeds of those things lie in the way they act today, in planning, in cooperation, in carrying forward the lessons of danger and opportunity. The world they inhabit is harsher than any modern wilderness. Here, there are no safe zones, no neutral spaces. The water is a hunter's ground, the grass hides teeth, the night belongs to the eyes that shine back at you. And yet, they endure. Not through dominance, they do not yet rule this place, but through resilience. They survive by knowing when to stand their ground, when to retreat, when to take the risk, and when to let it pass. The encounter at the lake will ripple outward into the days to come. For a while, they will avoid that point, moving to drink and fish elsewhere. The injured man's survival is uncertain, but even if he cannot walk without help for many days, the group will carry him, because his knowledge is worth the wait. He knows places to find water in the dry season, where to look for raw stone, which gullies the hyenas prefer to travel at dusk. In this world, information is as valuable as food. If he heals, the scars will be a reminder visible in every step. Others will remember too, and when the young glance at those scars, they will see more than an injury. They will see a warning, and a lesson. The land will not change for them. The climate will shift again, the lake will rise and fall, the mix of animals will evolve, but the balance between risk and reward will remain the same. For generations to come, Homo erectus will walk these shores, each group leaving behind little more than scattered tools and butchered bones. Yet those traces, buried in silt and time, will one day tell the story to another kind of human, one with words, with writing, with the ability to look back and see themselves in these ancient shapes. And when that happens, when the modern mind meets the evidence in the ground, a stone flake beside an antelope bone scored with cut marks, a fossil human tibia with the deep punctures of crocodile teeth, it will be possible to trace the line from that morning on the lake to every step we take now. To see that the capacity to work together under pressure, to read danger in the smallest sign, to remember and adapt. These are not modern inventions. They are deep in our blood, older than cities, older than language, older than fire. In the fading light, the group crests a low rise. Beyond it lies a shallow depression, half sheltered by thorn trees. It will serve for the night. As they settle, they face outward, scanning the grass and the darkening horizon. No one speaks, but the shape they form is familiar, a circle this time, not a crescent, with the food and the wounded at the center. In the deepening dusk, their silhouettes merge with the land, just as their lives merge with the long, unbroken chain of those who came before and those who will follow. The day ends as it began, with alert eyes, steady hands, and the quiet understanding that survival is never guaranteed. It must be earned, over and over again. If this glimpse into the world of our earliest ancestors moved you, there is more to discover. Every layer of earth holds another story, every fossil another voice from the deep past. Subscribe, and join us as we uncover more of the moments that shaped us. The dangers we faced, the choices we made, and the resilience that still lives within us today.